Welcome to episode number 180 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on March 23, 2017. A lot of things to get through this week, including resistance, again, social clips, fake news now and then, live streaming news, 6-second classics, pinning your car, Molten maps, when kittens attack, tips for robots, and Google Audio, among many, 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 many other things that we talk about every week. BL always kicks it off with the best story of the week. BL, you have the honors. What was the best story of the week?
Well, I just learned about ResistBot today, and it's just wonderful. If, like me and many other people, you're trying to call your congresspersons every day, you know you can hardly ever get through. And so now there's this genius tech tool, finally something I like about bots, and it takes the headache out of reaching your congresspeople. ResistBot is the easiest way there is to chip away at Trump. So this is how it works. You text resist to 50409. Then it asks you, the bot says, "Hi, I'm ResistBot." It asks you to provide your name, your zip code, and a message you want to send. And then it connects to your senators by your zip code. And then you say what you want to say, and it formats your message into a faxable message. It shows it to you before it's sent. And they actually then send you 2 images of the faxes that were sent. And the process, when I did it for the first time, took under 2 minutes. And anytime you want to speak out again, you just text resist and the bot responds. And faxes, I mean, who has a fax machine might not seem effective as calling. However, or showing up in person to raise hell. But the faxes are, according to research that they did, just as effective or more so than phone calls, because there's no way to verify if a call is really from a person or constituent or somebody else. And what Recode said about it in the Wall Street Journal, in Recode, that staffers need tallies. And so this is a better way to give them an actual tally. And on ResistBot's site, it says, yes, there's a lot of information floating around saying only certain ways of speaking up really count. But it says, we've confirmed that ResistBot messages are received and read by actual congressional staffers. Unlike a lot of other tools, it doesn't tell you what to say, because research also shows that only unique messages count, that when you're just, signing something that a million other people signed, it's not really likely to be counted. And you don't have to be complicated. You don't have to be fancy. As a matter of fact, if you make mistakes, it just shows you're a real person.
Yep, as opposed to astroturfing. So did we talk? I don't remember if we talked about this or I just simply read it, but there was a story a while back of somebody delivering pizza to their congressman in order to get a message through for them to vote no on or yes on some bill or something. But they basically delivered a pizza with the message on the pizza box.
Well, that might have been in a really small town, because the way security issues are these days, I don't think
directly to the congressperson.
I don't know that you can do that. So what you see, that was great.
So some fake news that was great. Imagine that, huh? This is from a Daily Beast article by Aswin Subang. On Friday, the White House email update that they send out includes headlines from news coverage and links to the favorable news coverage, of course. This last Friday, the one that was sent out included the link to a Washington Post columnist Alexandra Petrie's column that was actually a satirical piece that was kind of mocking President Trump of his new budget. And so it appears that nobody was reading the actual article. They just included the headline. The headline was Trump's budget makes perfect sense and will fix America, and I will tell you why. But the first paragraph reads, some people are complaining that the budget proffered by the Trump administration, despite its wonderful macho-sounding name, is too vague and makes all sorts of cuts of needed programs in favor of increasing military spending by leaps and bounds. These people are wimps. Office, Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney has called it a hard power packet, hard power budget, which is, I think, the name of an exercise program where you eat only what you can catch, pump up your guns, and then punch an impoverished in the face. This conveniently is also the case of also what the budget does. So it was mocking his budget. They included in their email. And of course, they're only listing the headline. So if you just read the headline, it certainly sounds like a positive spin on Trump's budget. You can plausibly make the point, as I said, that they didn't read the article; they just saw the headline and included it in the newsletter. But also, it's also plausible that they knew exactly that the article was satire and didn't care because they figured that most people just scan headlines and don't click on links anyway. So.
But this is like the story I covered last week where there was a site that was intended to be a joke and had the most outrageous anti-Trump headlines and yet, outrageous ideas. I mean, Michelle Obama is a man. I mean, that sort of stuff. And, people picked that up, made videos about it and everything else. People don't read anything. That's part of the problem. Anyway, for more fun, Apple's got a new app called Clips, and it's for making social videos. But oddly enough, the source here is The Verge, and it's Lauren Goody. And Apple wants in on social sharing, but not on a social network. They don't want a social network. But she thought that this is the precursor to an Apple augmented reality app, and I bet that's correct. It's free, and it borrows features from Snapchat, Instagram, Vine, Prisma, iMovie, and Quickie. Remember that one? And it puts them all into a video making app, mobile app, and it's completely separate from Apple's core camera app. It's coming in April. It's still not a social network, but it shows that Apple wants to stay in the conversation, and it sounds cool. It lets you shoot or upload single video clips up to 30 minutes long, and then the final video's total run can go up to 60 minutes, so I guess you can combine them. There's an option for full screen text-based graphic cards called posters. You can create bookends to your videos, how-to title cards in between shots. To me, it sounds like a really cool thing. So it's coming in April. We'll see. The downside is you can't scribble text over your clips like you can in Snapchat or Instagram.
If you're capable of doing that, I can't write in that small space.
I know, me either. Well, maybe if you use a stylus, I don't know.
Right.
But, Apple declined to answer questions about whether it's an AR app. And it might be a good app to use when iMovie's just too much and the default camera is not enough. The question is whether people will stop between their phone camera and their their favorite social network and use this. So we'll see. But it looks pretty cool from what I've seen. But until I try it, I won't really be able to say.
Well, another bit of video news. What is typically regarded as a photo app, but is increasingly a video app, Instagram had an update. This is from a VentureBeat article by Ken Yoon. And so Instagram Stories, which of course they stole from Snapchat, has had live video support since January, but those live Instagram Stories are disappearing after 24 hours, like Snapchat. But you can save the recorded photos and videos since December in Instagram, but the live video was the exception. But on Monday, Instagram added a feature that lets you save your live broadcasts. So after you complete a live video, you can leave it on your Instagram stories and watch it disappear, or you can tap the save button and save it to your camera roll. Only the video will be stored, so the comments, likes, number of viewers, and the live interactions that take place during your live video are not going to be stored with it. And it'll be saved to your camera roll so you can share it to other social networks as well if you want. But if you do, Instagram says that the video will no longer be available in the app. So keep that in mind.
If you share it somewhere else, it won't be available?
Yeah.
That's kind of strange.
Weird.
Yeah. So, both of us are so enamored of space travel, and this week, there was apparently a secret a secret program that took place in the 60s. And this week, that program, which was the Manned Orbiting Laboratory, was declassified. And it was inside a US military space station that nobody knew anything about. And it was done at the peak of the space race when the Soviet Union was a threat and the Beatles were hot, and the United States had a partially classified space program, and that's what it was called, Manned Orbiting Laboratory. And so its aim was to figure out the military usefulness of putting a human in space. But its real classified aim was to put a crewed surveillance satellite, crude with a crew in it, into orbit not crude, to spy on the Soviet Union. It was canceled in June of 1969, right before humans landed on the moon, because of budgetary concerns. And then in late 2015, the National Reconnaissance Office, who knew they had that, released hundreds of photos and documents about it. And the article that I was reading is one of the best. It's about life on there and how you slept on the Manned Orbiting Laboratory was standing up inside this sleeping bag. You climbed up a ladder to get into the sleeping bag, and then you slept. We'll have a picture of that on the blog post. And then there's a picture of what it was like inside. And I'm just so fascinated with all of this and anything that has to do with space and seeing what went on, especially inside or outside of spaceships. So to me, this is like a treasure trove.
Very cool. Very cool. More live streaming news. So Twitter this time. This is from an Engadget article by Mariella Moon. So they are planning to announce next week. I guess they've already announced if they're planning to announce and we're talking about it. But anyway, they're planning to formally announce, apparently, opening up their live streaming API to media firms. So they'll also reveal partnerships with firms that provide back-end services for live streaming video. The open API will allow the media to go live whenever they want on their website without having to use Periscope. Twitter, of course, we've talked about this before with their Thursday night football NFL deal. They counted over 200 million viewers last season with that deal. They've also teamed up with Showtime to stream a live boxing match. They have a deal to stream 15 esporting events this year, and they've also secured the rights for the National Lacrosse League games for 2017 and 2018. So big on sports, but they're opening up to media organizations to live stream. Now it sounds like it's going to be exclusive to news organizations, but when they start doing this kind of stuff, it tends to trickle down to us peons eventually.
It's a very smart move on their part, if you ask me, I am done with my good news. I would be on to bad news. So why don't you tell us some more good news?
Absolutely. So this is fantastic. This is from an Adweek article by Gabriel Beltron. Google is highlighting their new 6-second YouTube ad format, and they've done it in a wonderfully creative way. They've gathered together some filmmakers and ad agencies and had them recreate dozens of classic books of Western literature in 6 seconds. So there's The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, Shakespeare's Hamlet, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, a selfie snapping Dracula of Bram Stoker's fame, On the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. They're all very, very creative and delightful, actually. The agencies involved included J. Walter Thompson, Wyden and Kennedy, and Deutsch. It was part of a challenge that they hosted at South by Southwest, but we'll put the clips on the Beyond Social Media show at beyondsocialmediashow.com/180, so you can view them all. But they're well worth the several seconds it's going to take to watch them.
That's a lot better than Cliff Notes, right?
Right. Couple of Google Maps related stories.
Oh, I love this one.
Google Maps, and I love this because I could have used it back, and I've talked about this before, to avoid a disastrous ending to a date when I lost a car at a concert.
I've done that.
Engadget story by Timothy Seppala. So the latest version of Android's Google Maps app lets you pin your parking location so you can find your car later. How awesome is that? I usually take a photo of my car when I'm parked in the parking ramp to remember the slot that I was parked at. But you can also add a timer so you know when the meter will expire, and you can get notifications to your phone too. So that's pretty cool.
That's smart. We need that in New York for sure.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
I lost
And
my car in the Lincoln Center parking lot one time when I lived in Connecticut, and I had to wait till basically all the cars were out to
so it
find the
clears
damn
out to
thing.
So another one, Google Maps. This is Google Molten view. Basically, this is from an Engadget story by Rob Lefebvre. Um, Google has partnered with two explorers to capture images of a volcano. So the explorers rappelled down the side of the Marham crater on Ambryn, which is an island 1,000 miles off the coast of Australia. The explorers carried Street View cameras in their rappelling, and these things are pretty big. That's not an easy task. I mean, going into the abyss of a volcano is not an easy task, but doing it with Google
They're big cameras,
Street View
yeah.
and cameras, yeah, that's another thing
They're on the top
entirely.
of cars when they go by.
So they took footage of this, and you can stand at the edge of the volcano, look down into the bubbling molten lava. Again, we'll embed that Street View on the blog at beyondsocialmediashow.com/180. But there's all my good stuff. We can get onto the bad stuff now.
Well, I just have to say that poor April the giraffe is still pregnant. Her live cam is still on. The last time I looked, there were 300,000 people watching. The giraffe is just standing there. That's what she's doing, and her boyfriend, husband, is in the next pen, and they occasionally touch heads, and poor thing is still hanging out there with the great big belly. So for you April the giraffe fans, there are bets being taken on when she's going to do it. And, I just feel sorry for her. Anyway. Well,
I imagine she has stage fright. She's got a live cam on her.
Can you imagine? She have a 150-pound baby. I really don't think that's. Somebody tweeted last week and said, "You guys, giraffe births are horrifying. Look away." Come back for the cute little baby.
I have not gone to look at it since I learned about it. So
it's a giraffe. I mean, basically, it's a fat giraffe. But anyway, my favorite thing of the week, this is, as usual, anything about Trump is horrible. Trumpelthinskin sicked his lawyers on a teenager who, for a class project, made a silly site where kittens punch him. It's a game. And she's 17 years old, and it was a little fun project to put on her resume. So she coded a site called TrumpScratch.com where you could click on Trump's face to punch him with tiny kitten paws. But that was meant as nothing more than a jokey site for coding practice. And before long, she heard from the big man himself, facing his wrath. She said, "I was just going to let this go," when the lawyer called. But she said, "I think it's, pardon my French, fucking outrageous that the president of the United States has his team scouring the internet for sites like mine to send out cease and desist and legal action claims if we don't shut down." Now, she told the Observer in an email, meanwhile, he tweets about the Apprentice ratings and sends out power-drunk tweets about phone tapping. How about being the president, in all caps? And so 3 weeks after the site went live, she got the search and the cease and desist, and it was from Trump Tower, and it reads exactly as you'd expect it would. It begins by touting him as, quote, "a well-known businessman and television star," and boasts, "As I'm sure you're aware, the Trump name is internationally known and famous." So we'll put a link to Kitten Feed because she changed the name to Kitten Feed, but the hashtag is Trump Cat. And you can go play the game. It's lots of fun.
Well, this is not about Trump, but you wouldn't know it judging from Twitter's reaction. This is from a Mashable story by Heather Dockeray. So what was the biggest fake news story of the last century, BL?
The biggest fake news?
Biggest fake news story of the last century.
There's so many to pick from. I'm not sure. You better tell me.
1938,
Oh, the
Orson Welles'
Hindenburg.
radio broadcast
Oh,
of
the Martians are coming. The Martians
H.G.
are here.
Wells' War of the Worlds
Yeah, yeah,
radio play. Yep.
right, right.
Martian invasion of America. Many listeners took it to be real. Last week, we discussed the fictional internet radio broadcast called Resistance Radio.
This
And
is
that
going to
was
be
part
good.
of part of a marketing campaign for Amazon's Man in the High Castle show. But this has apparently confused some Trump supporters and anti-Trumpers as well. So over the weekend, they took to Twitter to express their displeasure of the ad campaign, which premiered at South by Southwest. Everything is premiering at South by Southwest this year. The producers created, if you didn't catch last week's show, the producers created the fictional internet radio broadcast and website that was pretending to be the voice of American resistance in the world of the Man in the High Castle. But Twitter reacted. Some examples of Twitter reaction. Arrive Big says, because CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC, MSNBC, and BBC weren't enough to get Hillary elected, so let's try radio. Too late, idiots. Resistance radio hashtag. Samantha says, real Nazis get annoyed by a show about fake Nazis. Their defensive stance to an anti-Nazi radio is weird. Hashtag Trump, hashtag resistance radio. Social commentary says, hashtag resistance radio, question mark. Good luck outpacing Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin Show, Sean Hannity, Todd Schmidt, The Blaze, and others. Their airwaves are ours.
Oh my God.
You go.
That's part of nobody reads. That's part of everybody's just like so on edge that they just, I don't know what's wrong with them. On a lighter note, I have this and worse because I just don't like this idea. Robots are delivering food in Washington, D.C. and Redwood City, California. And this is from a BuzzFeed article, and that's by Alex Kantrowitz. And also there was an AP story and earlier. And, in New York City, I almost got killed just the other day by a guy on the sidewalk with a motorized bike because they can't really stop. And he was on the sidewalk because there was snow in the bike lane, I guess. But, I mean, we're just inundated with bike delivery people. And so I guess a little robot that looks like R2-D2 is probably safer. But, these robots came from, they're developed by Postmate. Well, they're used by Postmate in Washington, D.C. And companies that use them, I don't know if they're coming around so fast because you have to negotiate with cities for permission to use the sidewalks, and you get in a lot of trouble if you don't. But in Redwood City, a company called DoorDash is putting a small fleet of these. They're little 6-wheel delivery robots. I mean, you could pick it up under your arm, basically. And they're built by a company called Starship Technology, and they're about the size of a golden retriever. And they roll around on the sidewalks, and they'll be used to lug food from restaurants to customers on short distance orders, anywhere from 1 to 5 miles. Every restaurant in New York is within 1 to 5 miles of everyone else. So, and there's so many, most deliveries are within 1 to 2 miles, and most restaurants will only deliver in certain ranges. So this is not going to be in New York anytime soon. But the food industry hates Postmates because apparently, unfortunately, there's no way to tip the person who actually prepared the food.
What's the etiquette of tipping a robot?
Well, yeah, I mean, you drop it in the box, and they're locked, and there's a code, and it and they make it. Oh, and like, what if somebody steals one? They thought of that.
I was going to say that too. I mean, the homeless are like, oh yeah, free food.
Yeah, food, right? No, but they thought of that. Like, if you pick it up and try to open it, an alarm goes off. But I mean, I don't think people will really care about that if they're hungry. But right. I mean, I just think it's a stupid idea. That's just me. Anyway, we'll have videos of it.
All right. Well, I don't have a segue to that, but this was an interesting article I ran across from the Register. Katyana Quach had a snarky headline that reads, "Spammy Google Home sprouts audio ads without warning. Now throw yours in the trash." So how do you really feel, Katyana? So apparently for some users, Google Home has been playing a Beauty and the Beast promo. It's apparently part of the My Day feature that when you ask about weather appointments or your commute, it gives you the answers. Not surprising. It's not surprising at all that Google's testing ads on the platform. We've talked about it being a platform for delivering audio ads. There certainly will be backlash, however, if the ads are interrupting what you're trying to do with Google Home and they're not relevant to the user. But given how much Google knows about everybody, I got to think that the ads are going to be relevant. But you know, for this to work, if the audio ads are going to work on these home assistants, they have to be relevant, as I said. But also, they got to play at an appropriate time where it's not interrupting what you're trying to do, right?
You know, the whole thing with advertising and interruption, the reason that people cut the cord on TV is this whole interruption thing. And then the websites where the banners
Yeah.
pop up and interfere with what you're trying to read. You know, does anybody ever buy anything with those? I'd have to guess maybe they do, or they wouldn't be so many of them. But there are other ways to do it. I'm sorry, there's some horrible thing happening in New York City right now. It's been going on for a while, and lots of sirens are going by. In any case, I hate the idea of ads coming into my house without me inviting them.
Well, I mean, I don't mind it. Google knows how to deliver useful ads. They pioneered with search advertising. So if they can figure it out that way and it's actually useful, then not a problem. But we'll see. It could very well create a backlash, though.
I bet it will. So, you know, there's no end to what's going on in the government, but this really sucks. Senator Roberts today made an insensitive joke about losing mammogram coverage. So Alice Alstein started a tweet storm when she said, I asked Senator Roberts if he supports scrapping essential health benefits. And he said, I wouldn't want to lose my mammograms. So some of the tweets that came back in the tweet storm, which became a Twitter moment, one of them was Oliver Willis, who said it's like an entire party of Marie Antoinettes. And Lily Herman, a writer for Teen Vogue, said, if you call Pat Roberts' office, let him know that 1 in 8 women in the United States has breast cancer. Then tell him to go shove it. You know, I am so impressed with Teen Vogue. I can't begin to tell you. I mean, I sent it to my teenage niece, and she said, I already get Vogue. And I said, yeah, but this is cool, and this is political, and I think you're going to like it. And I got something from her today saying, I love this. They're so cool. And, you know, they really are. I mean, I just thought that was great. But in the too little, too late department, Robert apologized, but really, who cares?
Yeah, I don't, you know, Teen Vogue is a publication that's be furthest from my mind and furthest from my interests, and you know, but I keep seeing it pop up in my feed because of all the political news I follow, and
It's
I have
retweeted
been very
constantly.
impressed with some of the stuff they're covering, and surprised. They go, what?
Yeah, I
Teen
know.
Vogue
When I
covering this?
first started to see it, I thought, what is this? You know, but they get cooler by the minute. So that's it for my bad news. I'm done with bad news. In fact,
All
I'm
right,
done with
well,
the news. I hate the goddamn news anymore.
yeah, right. This was gonna be in bad news, but I stuck it in cool tools or shiny new stuff because, well, I'll tell you why. So it arrived about 2 weeks ago, and it came in very cool packaging. Packaging,
Oh,
and it's the Snapchat spectacles. So it arrived, had simple setup instructions for pairing it with the app. So I tried it and didn't work, wouldn't pair. So I didn't have the time or patience to follow up, waited another week till the following weekend and tried again. Didn't work. Finally sent an email to support. They told me to make sure my software was up to date. It was. They told me to turn my Bluetooth on and off. I did. Tried to try it again. Didn't work. Follow-up email I sent, and they gave me instructions for doing a hard reset, which apparently deletes content so you need to do a backup before you do that. But that finally did work. So I got it paired. I've been using it a little bit. They're pretty cool. This case actually is you can see right there, there's a plug-in. It is a charger. The case itself is a charger. So you charge the case, and then you put the glasses in, and the case charges it without it having to be plugged in after you've charged the case. So there's the case. You open it up. There's the glasses. If I take it
Nice.
off and put it back on, you probably see it light up. Yep, see there it light. There we go. So it lights up, says it's charging, right? Put on the glasses. And it is paired to my Bluetooth, so I should be able to do it. And you tap on it to check the battery, whether it's charged up, and it is. And then you just click. There's a button right here, and you press the button. It'll take a 10-second it'll take a 10-second snap video, and the video is really high quality. It's kind of fish lenses too, so it gives you kind of a 360 feel. You can see a little flash go off on the inside, so you can tell when the 10 seconds is about to end, and then you can press it again and keep it going. So you can, I think, do up to a 30-second clip all told, but then you can edit it in the app and create your story and everything. And I'm going to play around with this. Much better than the Google Glass I had that was
for $1,500. That looks really cool. That really does. The one thing that I saw was that it looks like you better keep your head from moving when you do the thing, or your video might blur, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. I haven't noticed it, but I also would think that that Snap would think of that themselves and have some stabilization thing built in. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens. But there you go.
Well, I'm glad you like them. Yeah, I want some. Yeah. I want purple ones. Do they have purple ones?
They have 3 colors: black, salmon, and I can't remember the other one.
I didn't like salmon.
Yeah.
So, okay, I have a shiny object. These are 4 light alternatives to Adobe Acrobat Reader. I really dislike Adobe Acrobat Reader. I just find it clunky. And so these are 4 just much simpler alternatives to it. There'll be in the show notes for BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/180 on our blog, where we'll have the video and the show notes.
Very cool. Very cool. I have a project here. I wrote a long blog post that I want to share with people. So this has to do with Google Tag Manager. So it's a little bit wonky, but when you have a campaign, an ad campaign, like on Facebook or Google AdWords actually automatically tags your URLs for you, so you can track it in Google Analytics. But I do tagging for sharing on social, so I know where things are coming from, and I can easily read it into Google Analytics. But when you do so, the source, when you tag your URLs, they're hard coded, and it's tough if you're like sending out a press release with a tagged link to your website in that press release. The press release will get distributed far and wide, and many websites may pick it up. So you're not necessarily going to be, you're not going to be able to track each individual website, the source of that traffic, with a hard-coded link like that. What I did was came up with a solution. I had to do this for a client, so I had to figure out how to do this. Was come up with a solution for using Google Tag Manager to dynamically grab that source data, so you can see it in Google Analytics, and it doesn't come from like a Business Wire if you hard-coded it into a press release sent out through Business Wire.
So let me just ask a question.
Yep.
The code you're talking about is what appears after the question mark in a
Correct.
URL.
Yep. So the question mark, and then it says UTM source equals Beyond Social Media Show, or whatever it is.
So you can make that dynamic.
I can make that piece dynamic, of the source dynamic. So so rather than having a bunch of traffic coming from Business Wire, if you sent a press release over Business Wire, you would have traffic coming from all the different sources that published it.
That's very cool, Dave. You're going to share that with us?
I will share that. We'll leave a link in the show notes at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/180. And
well,
I have to brag a little bit. I got Google Analytics certified. I've been using Google Analytics since it became available. So, and I've never really felt the need to do it. kind of am a pro power user anyway, but I finally took the time to take the test and get certified because we were doing an RFP at the agency and thought it would look good on the the credentials.
Well, it does. I did their video course, and I've done a few. Those certifications do look good on the credentials. And I wrote a long blog post this week as well, and it's about what I have learned about making content readable and shareable during the years I've been blogging since 2002. And so I have shared a bunch of the things that I've learned, and it's on both LinkedIn and my blog, and it's been getting retweeted a lot, so I guess people are finding it useful, and so I'll share it in the show notes.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love when you get wonky like that, Dave. I got to tell you.
So let's wrap this up. I picked this one because I'm working on helping somebody clean up some local online reviews. So this is consumers' use of local online reviews. This is from Bright Local. Let's see, the question is, do you read online reviews to determine whether a local business is good or bad? Yes, regularly, 50% of consumers said in 2016. That compares to 22% in 2014. Yes, occasionally, 41% said. That compares to 49% in 2014. So it appears people are doing it more frequently nowadays than they were in the past. And then no, 29% said in 2014 said they did not, and only 9% say they do now. The other bit of data from this is those who read online reviews are far more likely to use a search engine, 63%, to find them than to go directly to a review site, 37%. And you'll notice in search results, often the star ratings from like Yelp show up in the search results. Bing does this. So it still is important to have those ratings high on your Yelp review, even if it's not, even if people aren't going to the site.
I always read the reviews, but also people game the reviews. I mean, I got something in my email. I'm sure you get them all the time. On Friday, we're going to drive this book up to #1 on, Amazon. If everybody buys it, it'll only be 99 cents. I mean, okay, fine. I guess that helps people in some way, but it's gaming the system.
Yeah, they do, and that's, I mean, the best defense against that I've seen is from Amazon, which has the verified purchaser reviews, so they know whether you've purchased it, and so if you've purchased, it's much more likely that your review is going to be actually, accurate.
No, but what they're doing is they're making it 99 cents so that you will not hesitate to purchase it, and then asking people to do the reviews. So it's still gaming the system. But anyway, I think that brings us to the end of episode 180 of the Beyond Social Media Show, does it not?
It does.
Okay, so you will find us online. We are our website is beyondsocialmediashow.com. On YouTube, we are Beyond Social Media Show. We're on Google+. We're on Twitter as BS Media Show. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, and we are also on Google Play. David Erickson is on Twitter as @DErickson and also as @TheDailyNumbers. He blogs at eStrategyBlog.com and also at eStrategyTrends, trends.e-strategyblog.com. On YouTube, he's eStrategy, and he also blogs at creativepr.com/blog, right? Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And it's a wonderful blog. You do not want to miss that blog. And I think that David is such a content machine that you really don't want to miss anything that he says, because there's a few things that he misses. And I'm BL Ochman, and on Twitter, I'm @What'sNext. I blog at what'snextblog.com. I am What's Next blog, on YouTube. And on Google+, I'm +BL Ochman. And we will be back next week, same time, same station. And we thank you for watching us tonight.
Thanks for watching.